Good morning. This is Akashvani. I'm Sunil Verma with World News. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi warns against illegal immigration, which is threatening demography of the country. Announced demography mission to protect citizens. Leading Baloch human rights activist Mir Yar Baloch appreciates Prime Minister Modi's statement regarding exploration of India's critical minerals. Alaska summit between US President Donald Trump and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin ends without deal on war in Ukraine. India's merchandise exports show strong performance in July, register an increase of around 7.3% or $37.24 billion. And in chess, M. Pranesh wins Challengers title at Quantbox Chennai Grandmasters Championship. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has warned against illegal immigration, which is threatening the demography of the country. In his Independence Day address, Mr. Modi announced a high-powered demography mission to protect the country from the dangers posed by illegal immigrants. The Prime Minister said he would like to alert the nation about the concern, which has now become a challenge. He said, under a well-thought-out conspiracy, the country's demography is being changed and seeds of a new crisis are being sown. The Prime Minister said that the infiltrators are snatching the livelihoods of the youth of the country. Mr. Modi said they are targeting our sisters and daughters. They're misleading the Adivasis and grabbing their lands. This will not be tolerated. The Prime Minister flagged the challenges caused due to demographic changes, especially in the border areas. He said that the demographic changes in border areas pose a threat to national security.
जब डेमोग्राफी परिवर्तन होता है तब राष्ट्रीय सुरक्षा के लिए संकट पैदा होता है। देश की एकता, अखंडता और प्रगति के लिए ये संकट पैदा सामाजिक तनाव के बीज बो देता है। हमने एक हाई पावर्ड डेमोग्राफी मिशन शुरू करने का निर्णय किया है। इस मिशन के द्वारा भारत पे मंडरा रहा है जो संकट है उसको निपटाने के लिए तय समय में सुविचारित निश्चित रूप से अपने कार्य को करेगा।
Leading Baloch human rights activist Mir Yar Baloch has appreciated Prime Minister Narendra Modi's statement regarding the exploration of India's critical minerals under the National Critical Minerals Mission NCMM delivered during his address to the nation from the Red Fort on the occasion of the country's 79th Independence Day. Prime Minister Modi announced that the country is intensifying its efforts to achieve self-sufficiency in critical minerals, with exploration activities currently underway at over 1,200 locations nationwide. Mir asserted that by making Pakistan irrelevant, Balochistan and India can be long-term partners in economy, defense, security and peace. On behalf of the 60 million Baloch people, Mir extended heartfelt wishes to the 1.4 billion people of India as the country celebrated Independence Day. He emphasized that neither India nor Balochistan was gifted freedom, but it was earned with the sweat and blood of its ancestors, adding that Baloch forefathers secured an independent Balochistan on August 11, 1947. Mir called upon the government of India to stand with Balochistan in real and tangible ways so that together both can crush any conspiracy against the two nations and answer Pakistan's vile terrorism with the same determination India showed in Operation Sindoor, a blow so powerful that the wails of the Pakistani army and their terrorists still echo to the highest heavens. India's merchandise exports showed a strong performance in July, registering an increase of around 7.3% to $37.24 billion on an annual basis. According to provisional data by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, major drivers of goods exports growth were engineering goods, gems and jewelry, electronics, pharmaceuticals and inorganic chemicals. Among these, electronic goods exports increased around 34% from $2.81 billion in July 2024 to $3.77 billion last month. However, the merchandise trade deficit increased to an 8-month high of $27.35 billion in July. This was due to sharp rise of 8.6% in imports, which stood at $64.59 billion during the month. According to the estimates, in the April to July period of current financial year, merchandise exports increased to $149.2 billion, while imports rose to $144.01 billion. The total exports of goods and services during the same period is estimated at $277.63 billion, registering a growth of 5.23% as compared to corresponding figure last year. This is Akashwani giving you the world news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our X handle at AIR News Alerts. And for details of stories and more, log on to our website www.newsonair.gov.in and download News on AIR app. The Alaska summit between US President Donald Trump and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin ended without a deal on Ukraine-Russia conflict. The talks were characterized as a progress but did not emerge with an agreement on the war in Ukraine. Addressing the joint conference after the meeting, Russian President Vladimir Putin said the central issue of their discussion was the Ukraine conflict. Putin said he's sincerely interested in putting an end to the conflict, and he described it as a tragedy. Mr. Putin also floated a different location for his next meeting with President Donald Trump in Moscow. Speaking at the press conference, Mr. Trump called the meeting extremely productive, and many points were agreed to. He added that US-Russia didn't get there, but they have a very good chance of getting there. He said US and Russia have a very good chance of further progress.
I believe we had a very productive meeting. There were many, many points that we agreed on, most of them, I would say, a couple of big ones that we haven't quite gotten there, but we've made some headway. So there's no deal until there's a deal. I will call up NATO in a little while. I will call up the various people that I think are appropriate, and I'll, of course, call up President Zelensky and tell him about today's meeting.
And now, news from the world of sports.
In chess, Indian Grandmaster M. Pranesh bagged the Challenger's crown at the Chennai Grandmasters 2025, earning the opportunity to compete in the Masters section next year. German Vincent Keimer capped a memorable triumph in the tournament with a convincing win in the final round of the Masters section over American J.M. Ray Robson. Keimer's triumph earned him a leap into the world's top 10 ranking and FIDE circuit points towards the 2026 candidate. The Asian Shooting Championship 2025 will begin today in Kazakhstan. Two-time Olympic medalist Manu Bhaker will lead India's campaign at the event. As many as 734 shooters from 28 countries will compete in the championship. India has sent the largest contingent, comprising 164 shooters across the senior and the junior events. The Indian senior shooting squad for the Asian Championship comprised 35 members competing for medals in 15 events. Indian shooters will also compete in the junior events. Manu Bhaker will compete in both the women's 10-meter air pistol and 25-meter pistol events. Sanyukta Yadav, Sports Desk.
Efforts to reach a global treaty to end plastic pollution have failed once more as UN negotiations ran into deadlock despite continuing overnight past the deadline. The talks, ongoing since 2022, remain divided. Around 100 countries support limiting plastic production, while oil-producing nations push for a focus on recycling instead. Despite the benefits of plastic to almost every sector, scientists are particularly concerned about potentially toxic chemicals they contain, which can leach out as plastics break down into smaller pieces. Scientists warn that plastic pollution threatens both human health and environment, with microplastics now found in soils, rivers, air, and human organs. And now, before we close, here are the highlights of the bulletin. Prime Minister Narendra Modi warns against illegal immigration, which is threatening demography of the country. Announced demography mission to protect citizens. Leading Baloch human rights activist Mir Yar Baloch appreciates Prime Minister Modi's statement regarding exploration of India's critical minerals. Alaska summit between US President Donald Trump and his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin ends without deal on war in Ukraine. India's merchandise exports show strong performance in July, registered an increase of around 7.3% to $37.24 billion. And in chess, M. Pranesh wins Challenger's title at Quantbox Chennai Grandmaster Championship. And that is the end of this news bulletin.